Hello, welcome to Michelle Sews Again. I'm Michelle. Today I'm going to share with you my review of the Closet Core Pietra pants I made view C in shorts. So I'm just going to take you through the description and sizing of the pattern and then my thoughts and experience as I was making these shorts. Okay, so the Pietra shorts or the Pietra pants are pretty popular right now on Instagram. I just did a quick search on Pietra shorts, and just the shorts alone have 1,100 posts on Instagram. I haven't even looked at the pants yet. So what prompted me to do this was I already had the pattern because I thought it was pretty cool looking. They're a flat front pant. You don't have a waistband, you have a facing. And I thought that'd be a great introduction to pants for myself. And it's got really cool pockets on the front. The pocket piece is actually one long piece, and you fold it in not quite in half, and like so it kind of does this like U thing, and then is sewn into the front piece of the pants. I know that doesn't make sense, but yeah, so they're just cool. Like you just slip your hand straight in the front. It's kind of cool. So I thought the design was new and interesting. I hadn't seen that before. And I thought that the panels, because there's a separate center panel and side panel because of the construction of the pockets, that I thought that made way for some really cool options in terms of how to piece fabric together. So I bought the pattern. I didn't have any short-term plans on making it just because I feel like I'm not anywhere near a point where I'm ready to figure out pants fitting. I have a lot of research to do and things like that. But I was prompted because Emma from So Do It Emma, she's both here on YouTube and on Instagram. She is very active on Instagram. She posts stories all the time. She's very entertaining, and she does some beautiful, she makes some beautiful clothing, and she's just adorable. So if you're not already following her, I highly encourage you to go follow her. But she had posted in her stories that she wanted to make the Pietra shorts, but she hadn't seen any representation of people in her size in the grid. And I completely agreed with her. I didn't see a lot of plus size people that had made either the shorts or the pants. So she decided that she was going to gather up some people who were interested in making it and posting, and we would be the representation of the plus size community for this particular pattern. So because of that, I was like, you know what, I'm going to join in. Just so that I can, help fill that gap. So I went ahead and even though I've got this commitment to not buy any new patterns or any new fabric in the month of June, I had already bought the pattern. I just didn't have it printed. So I went ahead and sent it to the printer. I don't think that's cheating. You tell me what you think. So my first snafu in this pattern was that I ordered, I also want to make at some point view B, which is the tapered pant version. I have no interest in making the wide leg version, but I want to make the tapered pants version. So I ordered view B and view C. Now my patterns came, I got all the sizes, but they break them up. So there's a 0 to 14 PDF, and then there's or maybe a 0 to 18 PDF, and then an 18 to 30 PDF. I'm not quite sure what the crossover is. There is some crossover. I don't remember what that is, but I, like an idiot, wasn't paying attention. So I ordered the right, I submitted the right size for my view B, but I submitted the 0 to 14 for my view C. Ugh. So I had to resubmit and buy the correct size for the pattern. And so I had to wait for that, and that finally came. So let me just get into the sizing first of all. All right, so it comes in sizes 0 to 30. The max sizing for the waist is 51 inches and hips is 61 inches. The finished sizing for view C is a waist of 51 inches and hips of 65 inches. So the shorts have 4 inches of ease in the hips, at least for the plus sizes. Fabric wise, it says that there's a variety of fabrics depending on the finished effect that you want. So if you want a more structured look, they recommend light to mid-weight wovens. They don't necessarily recommend heavy weight wovens because it will affect the bunching on the elastic in the back waistband. So they recommend like linen, chambrays, lightweight denims. And then if you want a swishier look, then, you know, go for your rayon chalets, your tencels, and your silks, things like that. All right, so let me get into where I struggled after getting the pattern in the right size. All right, so really my biggest struggle was the pocket. And 100% of it was my fault, not the pattern's fault. So I'll just put that out there. So when in my Friday sews, you'll see that I spoke about, my Friday sews. I spoke about the fact that I had started on the shorts, and when I went to fold like I said, the pocket comes in one long strip, and then you sew the one edge to the front edge of the side front pattern piece. And then you understitch that so you make a nice crisp line for the front of the pocket. So the side front piece is about that long, or however long your inseam is. But it's gonna hit, the top of that piece hits you probably right around the bottom of your hip bone. So it's low. And then what you do is you fold the pocket piece up, and that edge becomes your waist, right? So you're gonna see the pocket piece, and then you're going to see the front side piece here. Well, when I did my fold, the pocket piece was slimmer than my front side piece, and it was supposed to match up. It was supposed to be the same width. So I was a little frustrated with that. So I took my own advice. I have had moments recently where I've been frustrated and I kept going and I just kept making things worse. So this was one night after work and I was already tired. So I'm like, you know what? When you're frustrated, you just put the sewing aside because you're just going to make it worse. So I put it aside. The reason that I was frustrated is because I only had 2 yards of the fabric that I was using, and I was so proud of myself because I was able to eke out all the pieces that I needed by doing some Tetris work there. And because I actually needed, the pattern told me I needed a little bit more than 2 yards. I want to say like either 2 1/4 or 2.5 yards. I think it was 2 1/4. So I was proud of myself that I was able to eke it out, but that meant if I had to recut anything, I didn't have any more fabric. I would have had to use a contrasting fabric. And I really didn't, even though I like pattern mixing and fabric mixing and color blocking, I wasn't really interested in doing that for these shorts, not for this pair. So I was a little frustrated. So I set it aside and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna, because I couldn't figure out how that happened because I had traced out the right side. Like I was very intentional, and I paid very close attention to all of my tracings and that I was doing the right size and everything. So I couldn't understand how it happened. So I set it aside. I spent the rest of the evening with my husband. And then the next day was Saturday. I woke up and decided to measure the fabric piece against the original pattern piece, not my tracing. And sure enough, it was the right size. I didn't skim on, when I cut it out, I didn't skim any of the edges. So I was like, well, what the heck? So then I started looking at all the notches because where you fold it, there's a notch. Well, lo and behold, I forgot to transfer the fold line markings onto my fabric. Thankfully, I went back and looked at that before trying to cut out a new pattern piece in a different fabric that would have made me unhappy. So once I got the fold line correctly marked on my pattern pieces and I folded them up, everything naturally fell in place and it all matched up and it was beautiful. So I was able to finish the pockets. So I didn't have to use extra fabric, so I was very happy with that. So then I continued on with the instructions and finished the front pocket pieces. Then next came to pair up the finished front pocket side panel and match it up with the center front panel, which is just a solid piece of fabric. I couldn't find it anywhere. It was nowhere. I went through and I was like, I didn't cut the center front panel, which meant I had to cut it in another fabric because I didn't have any fabric left of the pattern that I was using. So that annoyed me because I really didn't want a different color in the middle than on the sides. If I had known up front that I was going to have to use a different fabric, I probably would have done it in the pockets rather than the center front panel. But it was too late for that. So I went to my pattern pieces, my original pattern pieces, to find the center front panel. It was nowhere. I actually don't even have the pattern piece. I know that I didn't, so what happens is I get my AO paper from PDF Plotting. I go through and I cut out the pattern pieces, not to my size, but I cut them in smaller pieces so that they fit on my cutting table so that I can trace them. I have thrown away one pattern piece, and it was the tie for the Valley dress neckline. And so now I'm super careful before I throw any of the discarded paper away. I go through and make sure I'm not missing a pattern piece. I was not missing a pattern piece, so I didn't get it. So I don't know if it wasn't on the PDF for View C, or I don't know what happened, or if PDF Plotting didn't print it. I don't know the answer to that. However, I did have my View C 0 to 14 pattern. It had to be bigger than 14. It had to go up to 18. Actually, it went up to 20. It was 0 to 20. I know that now because this is what I did. I measured the difference because I knew I was making the 24. So it's 2 sizes bigger than the size 20, right? So I measured the distance in the seam, I measured the distance in all the edges for the center front panel from the 0 to 20 size and said, okay, the difference between the 18 and the 20 for all those measurements should be the same for the difference between the 20 to 24. So I took the 0 to 20 pattern piece, I laid it out, I put my tracing paper on top, and I added those variances to every side. And then I made myself a size 24 tracing using that method. I thought it would work. It came pretty close. So where I matched up the center front and the side front panels from the hemline to the waistline was almost the same. And actually, wait, I have a correction to make. The way that I did the tracing was exactly right. Where my problem came in, so essentially what happened was the waist was off by an inch. So my center front was an inch shorter than my side panel front. When I went and I measured the center front piece that I had traced against, how did I do that? I can't remember now. But what I did was I went back and I looked at where I folded the pocket, and son of a gun, if I wasn't off by an inch between the notch on the side front panel and where I folded the pocket. So I made that side front panel an inch longer than it would have been if I had folded my pocket in the right place. All my fault. Anyway, it ended up being fine. I just trimmed off that extra inch on both the side front panels and the back panels. And to be honest, after making it, I need to trim even more because that high waist comes up. That's not for me. I would not wear, I might wear those shorts, but I'm wearing a shirt over them. I would never tuck anything into that because they're like, do you remember Fred Mertz and how his pants were always like in the middle of his big round belly? That's what it looked like. I'm not feeling that look at all. So that's one thing. Anyway, I ended up making the center front panel. I got the sizing right. I had to do it in a different fabric. So luckily I had a fabric in my stash that was solid that went with the crazy print that I had picked. So it all worked out. Definitely not my preference. The rest of the garment came together very easily. And to be honest, all of the instructions were fine. The snafus were all me. I don't know if I wasn't paying attention. I don't know how I got confused. One other thing that I forgot to mention is that another snafu that I had, that it was just one of those like icing on the cake kind of things. When I went to sew the back pieces together, it said sew the center back seam together. I sewed the side seams together, and as I sewed them with my sewing machine, then I sewed the serger, and when I was literally had that much left of serging to do, I looked over and I'm like, how is this gonna work if the crotch is over here and this is the center back seam? And I'm like, oh crap. I had to unpick serging and stitching. The only thing that was positive about that experience was that I had just finished basting the front waistband in place. And I had forgotten to change my stitch length. So when I had to unpick the stitching from the sewing machine, it was basting stitching and not stitching. I can't even tell you, like this one snafu after another in these shorts. I'm honestly impressed with how well the construction came together after all that. Anyway, the final garment, I feel like my construction looks very nice. I'm pleased with the construction of the shorts. They're too big. I made the pattern size, I made the straight pattern size without any grading, and quite honestly, they're too big from the weight, they're the overall. There's no part of it that fits me. The waist sits on me, but like if somebody came and gave a tug, they'd slide right off. So I feel like I could go down a size without having to do any grading. There's way too much room in the hips, in the crotch, like the whole thing. So I think that if I made them again, I would go down a size, and I think that that would probably fit me just right. So I'm actually thinking of just taking the side seams and grading them down from top to bottom. That way the shorts fit me. Although the crotch is a little big too, so I think I would have to take in that seam as well. Which way? This way, that way? I don't know. I'll have to play around and let you know. But anyway, that's my experience with the Pietra shorts. I'll be posting them on Instagram using the hashtag Pietra Plus, which is the hashtag that Emma and the crew that she's kind of coordinated to represent plus size figures in the Instagram grid with these shorts. That's the hashtag we've all agreed that we're going to use. So I will post there. And yeah, we'll see. I don't wear shorts a lot, so I don't know that I'll make a ton of pairs, but I might make them again just because I do like the construction. I do like the pattern, and I think if I get the sizing right, I think I would like the shorts. I might make the inseam a smidge longer because I don't like them, like I like longer shorts, just that's what I'm more comfortable with. So I would love to know if you've made these shorts, if you've posted them on Instagram. If you haven't, that's fine. But let me know if you've made the shorts. Let me know what your experience was. Did you like the experience? Did you struggle like I did? Or is that just me being not good? I don't know. Sorry, you tell me. Anyway, I hope that this review was helpful for you. Yeah, that's about all I have to say. So I hope wherever you are that the weather is fabulous like it is here where I am, and that you're able to get some sewing in today. And I very much appreciate you joining me. Thanks so much. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.